cozy and magical friends, welcome back to another video. I am all ready to head out the door because this vlog is all about just making magic out of everyday mundane life, and I feel like I do that a lot here in my home because I'm such a huge homebody, but I also can appreciate a good just exploring the town and getting out of my home, getting some fresh air, because that for me also fuels my cup and my creativity. It gets me out of my head as someone who tends to spend a lot of time in my head. So today is Saturday and I have taken the challenge to spend the weekend doing just out and about type of things, making magic out of the mundane, romanticizing my life, going out, exploring. The last few couple of weeks have been all about tending my home, nurturing the spirit of my home, but it is time to get myself out there. So this weekend, friends, we have a couple of things planned. Me and my husband are super huge Halloween enthusiasts, and my husband especially loves horror. It is a tradition for us to go to Spirit Halloween every time they reopen them up, and our local one has already opened. We usually get either a mug from there or some sort of t-shirt. I know they have been incorporating a lot more home decor stuff, so I'm excited to see some of that. I also want to pop in to Barnes & Nobles, you guys. It's been a minute since I've gone to Barnes & Nobles, and there are a few books that I am on the lookout for. I also want to explore their magazine selection and see if they have any coloring books of sorts. I know there's that one pumpkin spice cafe coloring book based on the book Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I think that's what it's called. I want to also curate some sort of fall TBR books I want to read for this fall season. I feel like now my juices are starting to come back up for reading, and my love for reading is starting to roll back in. So I'll probably do that as well, create some sort of fall TBR, share the books with you guys. And then tomorrow, Sunday, I do have plans to go to a full moon ritual gathering at my local holistic wellness witchy store. I am a little bit nervous because I have not gone out in those types of settings before, but I made a promise to myself this year that I really wanted to create friendships and put myself out there as someone who tends to just really bubble herself in. I can go long periods of time just by being at home and being just with my husband, with my dog, and just finding so much comfort and safety in my home, and that is great. I love that. But I also want to throw in a little bit of just connecting with community and making friendships, intentional friendships, where I find people who have similar values and are into the same things that I am. I know I have that with you guys, and that is amazing. I love hearing from you guys all the time, but I also want to create in-person friendships. I am actually going with someone to this witchy full moon class. The full moon is tomorrow, by the way. I mean, by the time this video goes up, the full moon will have already passed, and I believe it's also a lunar eclipse, so I know it's extra powerful. But I'm going with someone, you guys. I am going with a friend. I actually made a friend when I moved here to my new town, and it was like the craziest thing ever. I cannot make this up. It was so funny how we met. She's probably watching this video because she found me on YouTube first, and then we just so happened to have ran into each other at Walmart. Yeah, we ran into each other at Walmart. She reached out to me. She asked me if I was this person, and I was like, yeah, I am her. I am. And she's like, oh my gosh, I watch your YouTube videos. I actually messaged you a couple days ago on Instagram that you moved to the same town that I live at, and if you wanted to hang out and I could show you around and be friends. I kid you not, friends, she messaged me, I think it was the day before we actually ran into each other. She was in the baking aisle and I went into that same aisle because I was looking for some baking ingredients. There she was, and it's straight out of a storybook. She was with her little niece, and it was the cutest thing ever. And now we're really good friends, and that makes me feel so good. It's been so weird navigating friendships as someone who's in their mid-30s. It's been a while since I've had an actual in-person friend. I have plenty of amazing virtual friends through content creation, but it's been so long since I've had an in-person friend, and now that I moved to a new town, my family is pretty far. I have younger sisters, and those were my sisters, my friends. We would do things together. So it's nice to have a friendly face in this new town where I live. So anyways, to cut things short, we are going together to go to this full moon ritual class tomorrow. I will try to film as much as I can, but I'll see how much I can actually film because I don't know if it's kind of private. But I'm excited to go to this wellness witchy shop. I'll probably get some things. But for now, we are going to go to Spirit Halloween. We're going to go to Barnes & Nobles. I might pop in to maybe TJ Maxx. I have been trying to stay away from big box stores, and I have been thrifting a lot of my home decor, but I'm kind of getting an itch just to pop in and see what's there, get that fall serotonin kick in more. So we're just gonna go browse and see what's there, but I'm mostly shopping for books, magazines, coloring books, cozy things, and just romanticizing the everyday mundane life, exploring and starting to make the best out of this fall season. Let's go and do some exploring, friends. It is the next day and it is late already in the day. It's about 5 p.m. I just got out of the shower and I'm about to make dinner. I got ready because I am going to go to that full moon gathering. I'm gonna go to that a little bit later on, but I wanted to do a little quick haul of the things that I picked up yesterday. We went to Spirit, then we went to Barnes & Nobles, and then we went to Home Goods. So I want to show you guys what I got from Spirit. I'm gonna start off with the one thing that my husband got from Spirit. I'm gonna show his haul, which is one thing. He picked up a mug. He got this Welcome to Camp Crystal Lake Friday the 13th mug. I think this is actually super cool. I really like this. My husband is a huge horror fan, as I've mentioned. The Friday the 13th movies are one of his favorites. So he picked this up and it says Friday the 13th on the back. Very much Summerween vibes. I like it. I was looking for home decor at Spirit Halloween, but anything that I was seeing honestly didn't look like a great material, and plus it was pretty pricey. It's honestly very hard for me to pay full price for things that are new, just because I'm a huge thrifter. I thrift, if not almost like 90% of my home decor items, but I do like to splurge here and there whenever I have the funds for it on new things. But honestly, anything that I was seeing at Spirit as far as the home decor goes, it wasn't really sticking out to me, and the things that were, they didn't feel like they were a nice material, or I was like, I can totally just make that or DIY that. The only thing that I got was these earrings. Honestly, Spirit carries some pretty cool earrings, and not all of them are super spooky, or at least I don't feel like these are spooky. These are very witchy and very much up my alley. It has a little moth and a crescent moon and this crystal. I don't know what kind of crystal this is. I love very much whimsical little earrings like this that give off witchy vibes. I'm wearing these today for my full moon gathering. I think it fits the theme. We only got those two things at Spirit. It was very fun to just see all the decorations, the costumes, the animatronics that they had. They were super cool. Me and my husband would love to get an animatronic one day, but those are quite the investment. I don't know, we'll see in the future. Then we went to Barnes & Nobles. I was super excited to go because there were a couple of books that I wanted to get. And then of course, when I got there, I got super overwhelmed because I didn't know what to pick. And then I found a couple of other goodies that I knew I wanted to take home with me. So I had to really see what I wanted to take, because the books that I wanted were brand new releases. So those usually range from $28 to $30. I didn't get any of the new releases that I wanted, but I did get a book plus two other things. Let me show you guys first the things that I came across that I wasn't, well, one that I wasn't necessarily looking for, but that I found and I really wanted. And then the other two things that I got. I actually am familiar with this. I just wasn't expecting to run into it at Barnes & Nobles. And it is the Green Witches Oracle deck by Erin Murphy Hiscock, who's the author of the Green Witch book, which I have read and I have loved. I'm actually reading their other book, which is The House Witch. Really good so far. And this is illustrated by Sarah Richard. Look at how beautiful this is, friends. Oh my gosh. As an illustrator, I can absolutely appreciate the design of the box and just all of the illustrations that went into this deck. It is absolutely breathtaking. I went through all the cards already. Of course, I opened this up because I couldn't wait. The illustrations are just so whimsical, very much Green Witch vibes, which, if you guys know, is something that I've been really feeling lately, especially since moving to the cottage. Something within me has really opened up and I fully dove into embracing the Green Witch lifestyle and the magic that is rooted in that path. So I thought this was very fitting for the current path that I'm on right now. So very quickly, the bio on this deck says, introducing the Green Witches Oracle deck, a magical tool that connects you with the wisdom of nature and the enchanting realm of green witchcraft. Embark on a transformative journey guided by this captivating oracle deck. I have not purchased an oracle deck or a tarot deck in, I think it's been like 2 years. I had a phase where I was purchasing a lot of decks and I just had to stop. So I felt called to this deck and I'm so happy that I did get it. I'm just going to show you guys a few of the cards, but these illustrations are just absolutely beautiful. They are just so enchanting. I love that it says what each card means. And the booklet that comes with this card also gives you a little bit of like prompts or questions that you can ask yourself when one of these cards come up. So I really like that. The little booklet is actually very informative. I was reading it last night. I'm excited to cleanse this deck and work with it in my practice and see how I can adapt this deck to my practice. The next thing that I got at Barnes & Noble's was a coloring book. I got Goblin Core, Reject the Perfection and Embrace the Diversity and Curiosities of Nature. I was actually looking for the Pumpkin Spice Cafe coloring book that I've been seeing everywhere, but I could not find it at Barnes & Noble's, or even, I think I've seen it also, or I've seen people find it at TJ Maxx or HomeGoods. I did not find it at HomeGoods, so I guess it's good that I got this one. I really like this one because it has so many cool little nature inspired designs. This one's actually my favorite, this toad. It's so cute. But there's so many cool drawings on here. I cannot wait to just pop in an audiobook or put on a cozy movie in the background and get to coloring. So that was the second item that I got, and because I knew I was going to get that coloring book and the deck, it wasn't really in my budget to spend $30 on a hardcover book. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm either going to get those books either on Libby, which is an audiobook platform where I can read them or listen to the audiobook for free, or I'm just going to wait until they come out in a soft cover version for me to read them. But I still wanted to get a book. But lately I've just been having a really hard time with just purchasing books in general. This year I went on a book buying ban simply because when I first was doing YouTube videos more so related to the booktube community, I'm not going to lie, I spent so much money on just purchasing books blindly, and that really hurt my pockets. But of course, once I started incorporating more lifestyle elements into my videos on here, which I am super loving, it really changed my perception on just book buying and not having to rely on purchasing brand new books to read them, and more so reading books through my library, through Libby, or buying them used. So I've really changed my book buying dynamics this year for the best. Also, I made a promise to myself to go through all my unread books first, get through all of those before I even start adding more books to my bookshelves. I was doing so good the beginning of this year reading books, and of course once I moved I went kind of on a reading slump, but we're slowly getting back to it. The book that I ended up getting was The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. I love their works. I wanted to buy their brand new book that just came out, which is about vampires. I think it is called Bury Our Bones or something like that. But of course, out of my budget. So recently I just told myself, if I'm going to buy a brand new book, it better be from an author that I really enjoy and that the book is within my budget. So I know V.E. Schwab, anything that V.E. Schwab writes, I just know I'm going to adore. This one sounded very interesting. I'm going to read to you guys quickly the synopsis. These are the truths that Lexi has heard all her life, but when an actual stranger, a boy who seems to fade like smoke, appears outside her home on the moor at night, she knows that at least one of these sayings is no longer true. The next night, the children of Near start disappearing from their beds, and the mysterious boy falls under suspicion. As the hunt for the children intensifies, so does Lexi's need to know about the witch that just might be more than a bedtime story, and about the history of this nameless boy. This sounds so eerie and spooky. I am super excited to dive into this, especially for this fall spooky season. Moving on to HomeGoods. I got 3 items from HomeGoods. Now let me just first say that HomeGoods, oh my gosh, there was so much to look at, so much that I was getting a little bit anxious and overwhelmed. Now, did I like the decor, especially the fall decor? Of course, it was beautiful, it was amazing, and I wanted so many things, but this witch is in a budget, so I had to limit myself. So the first thing that I got, which I absolutely love and I'm so excited about, is a blanket. I'm gonna stand up for this. I got this beautiful fall blanket, you guys. It is the coziest thing ever. I was already wrapped in this last night. Me and my husband were watching a movie when we got home, and this is just the most precious fall thing ever. I love how all the pumpkins are kind of like in frames, or at least that's what it looks like to me. And it's pretty big, you guys. I mean, I can't really go too much back, but it's pretty long. This is going to be my go-to blanket now for this fall season. I will be bed rotting and this, all fall. I think this was $20 from what I remember. The next thing that I got, I was not expecting to get because I literally made some of these the other day, but I couldn't help myself and I got a candle. I got Witch's Brew candle, and this, you guys, it literally smells like fall. I just have this tradition to always buy a candle for the fall season, at least one. And considering this was only $7.99, which was okay for me, I just went ahead and got it. I recently made a video where I made 3 fall candles. It was kind of like make your own candle rather than buying some. But you guys, I fell for capitalism. I'm sorry. And last but not least, I was looking for a mug, friends. I was looking actually for a mug at Spirit Halloween. Couldn't find anything that really called to me. Of course, I had to look at Home Goods and I found the mug that I was looking for. Look at this beauty. I already used it this morning for my coffee, and the entire time that I was drinking, sipping my coffee from this, I was cheesing the whole time. Like, how can you not with this cute mug? It is the cutest thing ever. Oh my gosh. This is a Joanna Parker mug. I am obsessed with Joanna Parker. I pick up little things here and there during the fall season. Little things here and there. I literally only have like 3 things from her. But she is an illustrator and she creates designs, physical items with her illustrations, and Home Goods and TJ Maxx carry her stuff. They have this one and a little ghosty one. I would love to collect the entire collection, or as many, I don't know how many mugs she has from her fall collection, but I would like to collect all of them. But I figured that I would start with this one and work my way from there. It's very folk art inspired, gives me over the garden wall vibes, which I love. It's so cute. Ooh, just want to pinch its cheeks. That is my haul of all the things that I got yesterday. I'm going to get started on dinner and then I'm going to head out to the full moon gathering that I'm going to. I will try to film as much as possible. Let's talk about my fall TBR, friends. As I spent the morning curating my fall TBR, I really wanted to focus on books that I have in my physical library. I really want to lower down the range of books that I have not read that are part of my physical library before moving on to reading new releases, books that I don't physically own. And if I do happen to want to read those books, then I want to make it a goal to read them through my local library or apps such as Libby. As many of you may know, I am very much a mood reader, so a lot of the books that I have gathered here are a range of genres: graphic novels, middle grade, adult, YA, fantasy, horror, cozy fantasy. I did gather a couple of books that are new releases, that are upcoming new releases, or that have recently released that I would like to read this fall season, but again, most likely I will be reading those through my local library. So let's start off with my physical TBR, books that I actually own. I'm gonna start off with the book that I am currently reading. We're actually reading this for my Patreon book club, and that is The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I mentioned this book a couple of vlogs ago, I believe. I love Silvia Moreno Garcia. She is one of my favorite authors. I'm not too far along in the book, but already it's been so good, friends. This is following a family upon 3 different generations. So there's 3 different timelines, but we're mostly following our main protagonist, whose name is Minerva. And Minerva is attending a very prestigious school where she is studying horror literature. And in particular, Minerva is studying a very famous author from many years ago, whose name was Beatrice Tremblay. Beatrice Tremblay wrote a lot of novels, and in particular, she wrote a novel that so happens to be based on very real things. Very real things that in some way or another are tied to Minerva. And as Minerva is writing her thesis on this author, she starts experiencing very spooky things herself. This has a very dark academia setting, and I'm really enjoying it so far. The next book I have here is Lucy Undying, a Dracula novel by Kirsten White. This I bought last year, and I meant to read it last year, but I couldn't get to it. I already went ahead and borrowed the audiobook for this just because it is a pretty chunky book, and with chunky books I find that reading along to the audiobook helps me get through the book and really helps me just keep my attention focused on what is happening in the story. This is following our main protagonist, who was one of Dracula's very first victims. So we're pretty much following her life from her being involved with Dracula to trying to break from her past, and along her journey she comes across another woman who is also trying to escape her past. I believe this is a sapphic romance book. I am very excited to read this. It's kind of giving Carmilla vibes, maybe. If you have not read Carmilla, Carmilla was the original story that inspired Bram Stoker's Dracula. I'm not sure. Maybe this is kind of like Carmilla in a way. Next is another book that I bought last year that I did not get to, and that is The Library of Shadows by Rachel Moore. Another very much dark academia type of book. In this story, we are following our main protagonist, who enrolls in a school, I believe, because her father passed away, and she believes that this school somehow has something to do with the passing of her father. There's this very mysterious library in this academy or this school where students oftentimes go missing in. So of course our main protagonist starts exploring this place, and she happens to come across this ghost boy. I am here for a good Casper sort of retelling. So I'm excited to get into this. Plus it has dark academia vibes, which I love, especially during this fall season. Now these next 2 books are kind of like my taking a break type of books. Those very much world building, chunky books. I always love to include in my TBRs graphic novels, middle grade novels, because those I seem to just go through them fairly quickly, and it's a nice just breather in between reading those more longer books. First, we have a middle grade novel, I believe, and this is Pilu of the Woods by Mai K. Nugan. I don't know if I'm saying that right. This is following our main character, whose name is Pilu, and Pilu has a lot of emotions that one day they get the best out of her, and she runs away. She runs away to the woods near her house. Then she has a really hard time getting back to her home. She kind of got lost in the woods until she comes across this speaking willow tree. tree. This willow tree, whose name happens to also be Willow, offers to help Pilu navigate their way back home. But of course, Pilu is sort of getting a little too comfortable in the woods because the woods offer them a very serene place where they can navigate their emotions and understand their emotions, rather than when they are at home, they can't seem to control their emotions. The woods are a lot more serene, they're a lot more peaceful, so they can process their emotions a lot better. So from what I hear, this is a beautiful journey of Pilu and Willow working together to understand Pilu's emotions and get Pilu back home. I love middle grade books that teach us adults how to understand our own emotions, how to navigate our own emotions. I feel like there are great and beautiful lessons that you can get from even a middle grade graphic novel. And this is why I love reading graphic novels, because there are always so many beautiful hidden lessons in there that we as adults can definitely benefit from. My other little taking a break book is Skunk and Badger by Amy Timberlake. All I know about this book is that it follows two very different individuals, one whose name is Skunk and the other one whose name is Badger. And yes, they are a skunk and a badger, and they come across each other and they are sort of forced to work together. They are both very different, come from very different backgrounds, but somehow or another they happen to become very unlikely good friends. This does have a couple of illustrations in here, which I absolutely love. Also, by the way, I don't know if any of these actually have a fall setting. I just chose books that felt like a book that I would read in the fall season, and that for me is spooky environments, cozy environments, fantasy world building type of environments. However, the season, I have no idea if these happen to fall during the fall. The next book that I've been meaning to read, which is by another favorite author, is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I got this sometime this year. I think it was the beginning of this year or around the time that it came out. This is basically following our main character, whose name is Hala, and Hala ends up inheriting her uncle's estate or fortune after he passes away. However, there are in-laws or family members who are trying to get what Hala inherited. One day, Hala grabs a sword that has been collecting dust in her uncle's estate, and out of nowhere, as soon as she touches it, this person appears, and this person apparently is some sort of deity of sorts, I think, that has been trapped in the sword for decades. This deity's job is to protect anyone who wields the sword. But as this deity and Hala are working together, they totally overlooked the biggest threat of all, and that is the sword itself. So now moving on to some books that I want to read that are more so new releases or are about to release. We're gonna start off with another T. Kingfisher book that's on my list. This is actually a book that recently came out on August 19th, and that is Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. This sounds so interesting. So apparently this is a dark reimagining of Snow White. I love reimaginings. I love retellings, especially if it's a dark retelling. Okay, I'm gonna try and read the synopsis fairly quickly. Healer Anja regularly drinks poison, not to die, but to save, seeking cures for those everyone else has given up on. But a summons from the king interrupts her quiet, herb-obsessed life. His daughter Snow is dying, and he hopes Anya's unorthodox methods can save her. Aided by a taciturn guard, a narcissistic cat, and a passion for the scientific method, Anya rushes to treat Snow, but nothing seems to work. That is, until she finds a secret world hidden inside a magic mirror. This dark realm may hold the key to what is making Snow sick. Oh, I cannot wait for this one. By the way, I am reading off of my laptop. That is why I am looking down. This next one is, I want to say, my most anticipated read out of all the books that I've mentioned here, or that I will be mentioning. This is coming out on September 23rd, so almost, and that is Alchemized by Sen Lin Yu. Now, if you have read Manacled, which I'm still getting through because it's such a long book. I am like 50% through Manacled by also Sen Lin Yu, which Manacled is a dark romance of a Hermione fanfiction. Hermione meaning Draco Malfoy and Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. Manacled is a very dark fan fiction with very heavy themes. So if you are going to read Manacled, I would say to look up the trigger warnings because it is very dark, it is very triggering, but also something about it is very hard to put down. And I think because many of us grew up with the Harry Potter stories, so we know these two characters, Draco Malfoy and Hermione Granger. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe Alchemized is kind of like Manacled, because after reading what Alchemized is about, it very much sounds like Manacled. So the synopsis that says here for Alchemized, it says, in this riveting dark fantasy debut, a woman with missing memories fights to survive a war-torn world of necromancy and alchemy, and the man tasked with unearthing the deepest secrets of her past. It very much sounds like Manacled to me. I'm super excited for this. This is probably a book that I will get a physical copy just because I am hooked on Manacled, even though I have not finished it. Next, we have Brigards and Bread Knives by Travis Baldree, which is coming out on November 11th. Travis Baldree is the author of Legends and Lattes, which was one of those very popularized books that for me introduced me to cozy fantasy. I was excited to hear that they have a new book coming out this November. So the synopsis says, Fern has weathered the stones and storms of a bookseller's life for decades, but now in the face of crippling ennui, transplants herself to the city of Thune to hang out her shingle beside a long absent friend's coffee shop. What could be a better pairing? Surely a charming renovation montage will cure what ails her. If only things were so simple. It turns out that fixing your life isn't a one-time prospect, nor as easy as a change of scenery and a lick of paint. A drunken and desperate knight sees the Ratkin waking far from home in the company of a legendary warrior surviving on inertia, an imposed chaos goblin with fondness of silverware and an absolutely thumping hangover. As together they fend off a rogues gallery of ne'er-do-wells trying to claim the bounty the goblin represents. Fern may finally reconnect with the person she actually is when there isn't a job to get in the way. I really love Travis Baldree's cozy fantasy books because they are very heartwarming. You can connect to the characters in one way or another, and they are super cozy. Most of the settings are taking place at a coffee shop, at a bookshop, and my final book on my Fall TBR list is a book that actually already came out. It came out last month on the 19th, and that is The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. I have been wanting to read more Isabel Cañas. I just haven't gotten around to it, so I'm hoping I can start off with this one. The little short synopsis on here says, when a demonic presence awakens deep in a Mexican silver mine, the young woman it seizes must turn to the one man she shouldn't trust. I believe this is set in 1765 during a time that a plague sweeps through Zacatecas. Oh, I am so excited to get into this. I really love reading period time frames, especially if they are taking place in Mexico. This sounds very creepy, very eerie. Possessions. Yeah, that sounds like a spooky good time. And that is my Fall TBR, friends. I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to keep it short. I didn't want to overwhelm myself with feeling like I can only read for this fall season, just because there are a myriad of different things that I would love to do this fall season that I want to get into. There are just so many things I would love to explore and do for this fall season, and I didn't want to create such a huge fall TBR list that will overwhelm me and make me feel bad if I don't get through all the books in that list. So I decided to just curate 10 books for this fall. I feel like 10 is a good number for fall. 10 books in 3 months. I think that's pretty good. I want to thank you for spending some time with me today, friends. I hope that this inspired you to romanticize the simple, mundane aspects of life. Not every day has to be glorious and grand or interesting. We can really look at those everyday things that we do in life and just make them feel wonderful and magical. And maybe also you got inspired to go out, to create friendships, to explore. I was starting to feel a little bit on the fence of going to that full moon gathering, but I am so happy that I did. I met some amazing people. I was surrounded by some great energy. I was just telling my Patreon community how much this year has been the year of just saying yes. Yes to moving. Yes to starting my first garden. Yes to my health. Yes to exploring. Yes to friendships. Yes to being curious. I have just been allowing myself to do things, to say yes to life and being the best version of myself that I can be. I am just saying yes. I am saying yes to life. I am saying yes to being happy. So I hope you can say yes. I hope you can say yes to even the smallest things in your life and allow yourself to indulge, to be curious, to romanticize the big and the small things in your life, because we deserve it. And honestly, that is one of the biggest ways that has helped me personally cope with all the chaos that we constantly see happening in the world. Let me know down in the comments below, what are you going to say yes to? What are you going to say yes to this week? Maybe is yes to going on a nature walk, or yes to trying a new recipe that you've been eyeing for some time now. I would love to know. So tell me down in the comments what you're saying yes to this week. Remember that you can create the life that you want because you so deserve it, friend. I'll be seeing you in another video very, very soon. Until then, take care and bye for now.